All right, we are Meltdown Studios. I'm Kalen. I was a producer slash programmer. Driving for us is Nico. He did the 3D modeling as well as helping with programming a bit. There we have Alexander. He did our audio design. Jefferson did our lighting and particles, and Daniel did our texture and UI art. Now, Panic Mechanic is a resource management game in which you play as a mechanic who first day on the job must manage a nuclear reactor. You must meet quotas to power the city, as well as making sure your reactor does not overheat and that your player does not die of stress. On a quick note, the electricity produced with your reactor powers both the city and the objects in your room. So in the beginning of the game, there will be a tutorial mode enabled. As you can see, it'll tell you that pressing F will drink a cola. Likewise, if you were to go into a paneled object, it would give you a quick couple sentences on how to use it and what it does. Now, for the purposes of this presentation, we are going to be disabling tutorial mode. This can be done in the pause menu. Now, if we go over to the quota screen, the overall goal of the game is to simply meet your quota before the time runs out. Now, your progress on the quota can be seen with the green bar there. It'll fill up as you export more electricity to the city. Now, the light is your pace. If the light is red, it means you are not on pace to hit your quota, but if it is green, you are on pace to hit your quota. Now, as you can see, our light is not consistently green, and we must change this. We can start to do this by going to our reactor and increasing its heat, which can be done with the power panel here. Neutron reflection will increase heat, while absorption will decrease heat. So if we set absorption low and reflection high, we should start to see our reactor heat go up, which can be viewed on the diagnostics panel here. As you can see, the reactor heat is slowly trending upward. Note that it does not increase in a linear fashion. Since a reactor is naturally unstable, it'll just generally trend upward, but you will not get consistent increase in heat. We can also see the reactor output, which is how much of our reactor heat is being exported by our coolant cells every second. And we can also see the exported output, which is how much of that original output is being successfully converted to electricity. We can also view the radiation leakage and radiation level. The higher these are, the more it will affect the player. Now, if we wanted to cool down our reactor, we could simply increase absorption and we could manually vent. This will release a bit of heat into the air as well as clamp our heat down. So if we go back over to the diagnostic panel, you can see heat is decreased and is not increasing. However, since we vented our heat into the air, it has hurt our air supply, which can be viewed on the opposite wall over here. That dial represents the quality of the air. If it gets too low, the player will die. However, it can be filtered by pulling that lever there. Now, one more note about the power panel. The coolant cells visible at the bottom are starting to drain. If these drain completely, we will not be able to export any more heat unless they are repaired. However, the player is given a spare at the start, and which can simply be swapped out like that. Now, if we head over to our generator panel, we can see some information on our generators. Right now, all of them have a potential output of 5 and a real output of up to 5. Now, since the reactor is relatively warm, it's basically 5 all the time, but keep in mind it is technically wavering. Now, if any of these structural integrities on the generators hit 0, that generator will explode and will be unusable until we repair it. Now, we can modify these outputs with the slider panel right here. If we increase the power of generator 1 to 200% and generator 3 to 0% and go back over to our diagnostics panel, you can see generator 1 is now outputting double what it used to, while generator 3 is outputting nothing. This is causing generator 1 to degrade at a much higher rate, while generator 3 is not degrading at all. Now, if we go over to our electricity board, we can see a breakdown of our electricity. Right now, about 10% is going to the lights, 25 to 50 to the city, and most of it, or a minority of it, is unused. However, there's a lot we can do with our unused electricity. For example, we can fabricate something on this screen here. This will allow you to repair or upgrade anything in the game. So right now, we are repairing generator 1, which is already starting to smoke. And if we quickly go over to the generator panel, we can see that it is now under repair. Once it is fully repaired, it'll set its integrity back to 100. Now, since we're playing the game, or presenting the game and not actively managing it, our generators are all starting to smoke at once. This would be a bit easier if we were actively managing it. We can also, however, play the radio, which will help with our player stress. This also costs electricity, and the higher level song you choose will help you more, but it'll also cost more electricity. As you can see, the player is starting to stress out. We can eat these DNX pills to help decrease our radiation. And we can also drink a cola, which will give us a temporary stress decrease. Now we're going to speed up our death here. As you can see, the generators are exploding in the background. This is causing our reactor to heat even more because we can't process the heat we're already producing. And there will be many visual cues for the player starting to stress out. Shortly, you'll start to hear breathing. And a quick note, there we go. You can see you can hear a heartbeat in the back, and the player is starting to stress out. Shortly, they will have a heart attack. Like that. Now, there are several ways you can die in this game, and we do not have time to show them all naturally, but we will go back and deliberately cause them. So right now, if we start the game again, we're going to show you what happens if we simply overheat our reactor. We can go to the power panel, and a quick note before we do that, the emergency export button, seen in the bottom right, will set your generator to max cooling. You need to quickly cool your heat. Now, if we set reflection to max and absorption low, our reactor will quickly start heating. And currently, we're going to make sure we don't have a heart attack before it overheats fully. Once again, the DNX pills will help you with the radiation, while the cola will just decrease general stress. And shortly here, there will be warning lights playing telling you that the reactor overheat is imminent. However, another way to know is if you look at the generator or the reactor, the particles at the bottom are getting larger, showing you that it is really starting to get unsustainable. There's the warning lights. And as you can see, that is another death. There is one more way you can die, which we unfortunately do not have a cheat to get to. This is simply if you do not meet your quota, it'll play kind of like a you lose sound, and it'll just come up with a you're fired screen. That'll take 5 minutes because that's how long the quota times are, and we only have 2, so we are unfortunately not able to show that. We'll go into credits. This is simply basic credits in the songs we used, so that will conclude our presentation.